Hello YouTube, happy Saturday. So it was nice today. It got up to 63 degrees mid-December. That's pretty crazy. So Kentucky Dragway decided to have a test and tune, so I went and watched, and now I'm back, and got some parts for the rear end. I'm gonna switch it to 355 gears, but I want to go over with y'all what the rear end is in this car. I kind of pieced it together myself, which was way cheaper than buying one, but especially with someone else doing the welding for me. But we'll go over what's in it. All right. So here it is. It's a 8.8 Ford. And what we did was we cut the tubes off right there. And then I cut the tubes off my 7.5 rear end that came factory in the car, 96 Camaro. And then we made a jig, a little sleeve rather, to put these together. This almost fit in here exactly, but it wasn't exact fit. But some Ford rear ends, this tube is bigger than others. So it just depends on what size axle tube rear end you get. But anyway, we made a sleeve. We put those in there. And then we made these pucks with a hole in them for every bearing location on both ends, and then here in the middle. And then we got a big metal bar to go through those holes, to go through the whole thing to hold it straight. And then the only measurement we took was from the brake backing plate that's actually on the axle to the end of the where the rotor goes, where the studs go in. That's the only measurement we made because I used the stock axles. And so we put the carrier in it. We put the axles in there, and the axles with the C-clip and the pin in will move back and forth. But I measured them pulled out. You can measure them pushed in or pulled out, whatever. But that's the only measurement you need from here to where the rotor goes on to the axle. And then we welded it all up. You'll have to have an angle finder to make sure before you go cutting your tubes and stuff off. Get a good angle from the rear end to these your spring perch or whatever, so you know where to put that stuff back at. So we used an angle finder for on this stuff compared to the other rear end, and again, just those measurements. And then we put that jig in there with the bearings, with the little pucks that fit in the bearing just perfect, and a rod that goes through it. Got the measurement from here to the brake backing plate, or just to where the axle, the end of the axle is. Just measure that. Make sure you measure it either pushed in or pulled out, because the axle will move back and forth a little bit. Because if you don't get that measurement right, the brakes won't go back on the way they do factory, because I'm still using the factory brakes. So angle finder welded on the Hilti mount. You get this off eBay. There was a guy actually selling F-body tubes off eBay just for this purpose too, but I don't know if he still does or not. And then once everything was straight and those measurements were correct, we welded it all up, welded the Hilti mount on it, and that was pretty much it. Because I still use the stock axles forever. They started breaking on me once I started making more power. So when they did that, I had these ends welded on. These are the ends they're a Chevy end, but they hold the Ford bearing, which now my axles bolt in, and I do not use C-clip no more. And this is now a full spool. But taking all this apart, you just take your cap off, take your carrier cap out. Don't get these mixed up. There's a shim in here, right in there. See it? Don't get those mixed up. Keep them on the right side. And you can pull that out. Sometimes it's not easy to pull out, but if you put a wrench here on one of the carrier bolts and spin it up, it'll kick it out. Then you just take your pinion nut off, pull your yoke out, and then your pinion and stuff will fall out. But that's pretty much it. And now I've got 35 spline aftermarket axles when I went to the Chevy Inn that holds the Ford bearing. And these are bolt-on lower control arm mounts. If you got bolt-on lower control arm mounts, don't make the mistake I made. Weld these in, or get the weld kind and weld them in. Don't use the bolt-on top for drag race, especially if you're cutting low 1.4, 1.3, or faster 60 foots. And this is the BMR anti-roll bar. This will make your car launch perfectly straight. But now it's got teeth in here, and those teeth are supposed to grip the axle and keep this from spinning. Well, that works about as good as trying to give a cat a bath. So I'm gonna weld them in this time, because this one would twist down on me, and when it would twist down, then the sway bar would hit the rear end. That's the big sway bar. See, it uses a U-bolt, and it's supposed to make the teeth grip into the axle, but it doesn't work very good. They spin, so we're gonna weld those in. I got this all, I got stuff on there to keep it from rusting, but I grinded all this out, and I tack welded them on, and I'm gonna have a guy weld them because I suck at welding. And I got these at the perfect angle, these at the perfect angle. They match both sides. This is the one that was bent. You can see it looks different than the other side, which that one bent too, but it just barely bent. But I took the angle finder, took a measurement here, and then took a measurement there and there with the angle finder, and got those all matching. This one matches the other side, that one matches the other side, this matches the other side. So he's going to weld these up for me. I'm still going to use the U-bolts, and we might even brace this in a little bit for the, which now with these welded in, I've cut this off so this part don't come in front of here, which is what bent it to begin with, because that one bolt didn't keep this from moving back when the rear end launched, and the rear end tried to go up. It's upside down. Tried to go up and forward. This rotated back, and this bracket that went in front of here is what pulled that. And this was the only thing trying to hold the rear end, because this rotated back, and that's what bent that. If that bar wasn't there, it wouldn't have bent it. The rear end still would have shot forward, but at least it wouldn't have bent that, because that one bolt, these got to be welded in. If you're going to do some 60 foots, these got to be welded in. But yeah, I got way too long-winded there. Let's go over how we're going to set this rear end up. This is the first time I've actually done it the correct way. So hopefully it goes right. Usually I just put these in here and move it side to side until the backlash is right. And I don't even check the pattern. That's the way I've done the last two, and they turned out pretty good, but this one did start to whine. So let's do it the correct way this time.